Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Albatross and Pen. This video is a part of our Essays on Hinduism playlist. Today we'll be talking about the external factors and influences that have impacted Hinduism. The global religion known today as Hinduism is not solely an amalgamation of the philosophies and theologies of the people of the Indus River Valley, Aryans, and Dravidians. Hinduism has also been affected by a diversity of external influences. The history of India is arguably as complicated as Hinduism itself. Long before the British Raj and Christian missionary expeditions, India was ruled by a series of Muslim sultans. This massive diversity, in one sense, tangles the purity of both Christian and Islamic traditions. On the other hand, and quite frankly what is now understood as historically significant, the blending of foreign ideas and native Hindu belief cemented Hinduism as a world religion, as opposed to a primitive culture. Through the process of European colonialization and Christian influence, and the precedent of Muslim rule, Hinduism was able to adjust and adapt to a broader audience, despite centuries of Hindu-renounced religions like Buddhism and Jainism gaining reasonable traction. The result of this complicated history was the Hindu Reformation, what today is understood as popular Hinduism. The impact of Islam in India should be understood as two separate yet parallel ideas: the history of Islamic rule in India and Islam's religious influence on Hinduism. Islam's conquest of the Middle East, though a defining event both politically and religiously, was only the beginning of the widening sphere of influence Islam would have geographically. During the Middle Ages in Europe, Islam's seemingly uncomplicated theology, as opposed to Christianity's controversies, was a catalyst in respect to Islamic conquest. Soon, Islam's influence would knock on its eastern front, beyond Asia Minor, and into the Indian subcontinent. Quote, "The Umayyad Islamic Caliphate, whose capital was Damascus, had expanded to establish a kingdom in the lower Indus River Valley as early as 711 CE. Unquote. It was not until the conquests led by Turco-Afghan rulers in the 13th century that Islam became established in India, especially Delhi. This empire would soon encompass the lands from Punjab to Bengal. At the end of the Middle Ages, the Mughal Empire had overthrown the existing society, thus furthering and solidifying Islamic rule. They would reign over India until the 19th century. Though Islam dominated most of the regions of the subcontinent, politically by governmental and military might, Islam's impact on the existing Indian religions shifted upon a spectrum, with spiritual tolerance on one end and fundamental dogmatism on the other. For example, the Mughal ruler Akbar is praised for his own personal interest in interreligious studies, supporting the construction of Hindu temples, translating the Hindu epics into Persian, the court language at the time, and even abolishing the tax on non-Muslims. Akbar's culturally and religiously rich reign is contrasted with Aurangzeb's implementation of Sharia law, which defended the destruction of major Hindu temples and the revival of the non-Muslim tax. Therefore, Islam's impact on India was historically dynamic, depending largely on the leadership of the government. In regard to Islam's direct religious influence on Hinduism, there are several significant conflicts. Muslims affirm a monotheistic view of Islam, that there exists a single God, and that God is Allah. Though Hindus have a wide variety of approaches to conceptualizing God, one aspect that Hinduism does not offer is a sole founder. Quote, "The religious beliefs and practices of Hindus are characteristically diverse because they do not derive from the teachings of a single founder, or base themselves on a unique revelation articulated in a particular scripture, or adhere to an authoritative theology that is supervised by an acknowledged body of official interpreters." Unquote. Even if a large demographic of Hindus align themselves with the notion of monotheism, Hindus do not recognize Allah as that singular God. In addition to this problematic contrast of theology, Islam enforces a dualistic and theistic system, whereas Hinduism also includes ideas of non-dualistic and non-theistic interpretations of the divine. A major concept in Islam forbids the use of human or animal imagery to depict such divine reality. Murti, or physical representations of supreme beings, is perhaps a central practice of Hinduism and allows practitioners to focus their praise, energy, and worship onto a container, the murti, that holds the contained energy of the supreme beings. Not to mention that murti are essentially canvases that depict the entire array of the Hindu pantheon, from the monkey god Hanuman to the elephant god Ganesha to the four-armed mother goddess Kali. Historically, Islamic attitude towards this has been largely destructive, resulting in the demolition of ancient and sacred Buddhist and Hindu statues and temples. Lastly, opposing the negative influence of Islam on Hinduism, a significant demographic of Buddhists and Hindus converted to Islam in order to escape the controversy and oppression of the Brahminical caste system. In fact, conversion to Islam flourished in the northern regions of India. At the end of the Mughal Empire, Europeans had established major trading posts throughout the Indian subcontinent, of which the British were the most successful. The collective fortified trading post would soon be known as the British East India Trading Company, and it would serve to usher direct British rule after the collapse of the Mughal Empire. In addition to trading posts, the British organized military and governmental order, thus solidifying British presence. By the 18th century, the British had established Warren Hastings as the first Governor-General of India, declaring the official start to the British Raj. During this time, Hindu-Muslim relations were not cordial, but in fact hostile. Numerous accounts of riots and other forms of militaristic protests soon questioned the authority of the British in India. Adding fuel to the growing contention between Muslims and Hindus, the British supported the revival of ancient Hindu traditions, seemingly as a political move against Islam. With India successfully declaring independence in 1947, Hindu-Muslim relations began to worsen, causing mass migration separating Pakistan as predominantly Muslim and India as predominantly Hindu. Quote, ethnic cleansing led to Pakistani Punjab becoming almost completely Muslim, and Indian Punjab becoming about 95% Hindu or Sikh. Unquote. Another footprint left by the British and other European colonizers was Western Christianity. Christianity's major influence on Hinduism caused an era of Reformation. Though Christian missionaries during the British Raj were allowed to prophesize, in context of population, Christianity in India had little conversion. However, Christian critiques of Hindu belief paved the way to Reconstruction and Reformation, and ultimately led to Hinduism becoming recognized as encompassing the traits of a world religion. A major contributor to the social and theological change of classical Hinduism to modern or popular Hinduism was Ram Mohan Roy. Having a strong interest in both language and religion, Roy gained a wide and liberal worldview. His perspective was enhanced by the critiques of Christians and allowed him to sift through the differences and complications of the theologies of world religions. According to Roy, God is the creator of the universe and the cosmos, but is both transcendent and ineffable. Quote, all religions agree about this and differ only in essentials. Roy therefore advocates a tolerant position, often associated with Hinduism as a whole, which maintains that all religions are essentially one. Unquote. Roy sought to re-establish a purified version of Hinduism that did not represent discrimination or oppression, especially in regard to ancient Hindu traditions. For example, Roy opposed the concept of idol worship and immoral practices like child marriage and widow burning. The Brahmo Samaj was created and based upon the redefined philosophy of Roy. It largely integrated Western religious organizations, like implementing a kind of church service where the Upanishads could be read to a gathering of reverent practitioners. Though Ram Mohan Roy was an essential character of this new era, he is yet a single puzzle piece in the greater picture of the Hindu reform movements. Many visions of popular reform movements collectively have tried to embrace a modern contextualization of classical Hinduism to directly combat against traditional rituals and concepts that are now regarded as discriminatory. India and Hinduism have endured both trials and tribulations and eras of renaissance and revival. India as a people are a diverse collection of many ancient civilizations. Conquest and colonialization have only added beautiful melodies to the great song of India. Hundreds of years under Islamic rule cemented an empire in the Indian subcontinent, and though the empire did not stand the test of time, it created an environment that led to the existence of an independent India. The external influences on India and Hinduism truly support the idea of adaptation and resilience. It is because of these influences that Hinduism today is recognized as a world religion. And that concludes this essay. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the Albatross and Mike podcast and our other videos on Albatross and Penn. Have a good day. Godspeed.